Okay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to our presentation today of Italy, the ultimate Italy. I'm Renee with Red Orchid Travel, and I'm also hostess, one of six of us with Red Orchid Women's Travel Tours. Today, I'd like to present the ultimate Italy, which is for our Red Orchid women. And we are going to be hitting the town literally June 23rd to July 7th. It's going to be a 14-day tour with incredible camaraderie and lovely, lovely ladies. Our travel club is has been full of wonderful women who love to travel, meet other people, explore, go on adventures. It's always been a joy to be able to see new friendships that uh, result of our travels and reunions. And it's just wonderful to have this community of ladies come together and support one another without judgment, without anything. So, welcome to the sisterhood of our Red Orchid Women's Travel Tours. We are obviously women only, and we run from all over Canada, from the West Coast and New Westminster all the way to Halifax, Nova Scotia. We've had ladies join us from the United States and the United Kingdom. So we are actually almost everywhere. A large portion are in Ontario. So I would just proceed here with pre-tour. So some of the ladies are going to fly out on the 21st for this tour and have an overnight, arriving in the early morning of June 22nd and trying to get on the new time zone by staying up and maybe just resting through the day, getting into that time zone by maybe exploring around a little bit as they wait for the actual start of our tour, which will be the following day. Now, one of the things with flying, everybody is coming from a different airport location. And since everybody will be arriving at different times, it'll just be people populating into the tour, after whichever flight they take. So day one is literally after that first day of people arriving. I'm trying to actually recommend nobody arrives the day of, because with flight changes lately, it's just too hard to predict if that flight will get you here successfully. And most flights from Canada are overnight. So getting in the morning of, you're going to be tired, bleary eyed, and all the works. If you have to do that, let me know if you want to join us and that's your flight option, because you're going to be a brave one to do that. So the actual tour starts day one. Welcome to Rome. I always say, what's the first thing you think of when someone says the word Rome? Everybody has a different answer. I'm always told the Colosseum or the Vatican or Trevi Fountain. And I can tell who the influencers are and who's on Instagram, because that Trevi Fountain seems to be in all the movies, and actually kind of funny because everybody brings their coins and is all ready to drink the fountain water because, legend says that you'll come back again to visit. So day one, I was going to say, day one, we have a discover moment on day one, which is the welcome actual meetup where we'll meet our guide and we'll settle in as a group and into our hotel. Day two, the actual next day, this is when we're going to spread out in Rome with a migrant tour of Rome, which is actual tourist company. They take you out on foot. We're going to go all over the place. The afternoon will be free to explore. Hopefully, nobody will be too tired. There is the possibility of having uneven pavement or anything like that. But this tour actually was designed for anybody with normal fitness levels. They can get by without too much assistance. Pretty much, I like to say, you can do it. And I think just the levels will just go a little slower. There's not too much by way of high intensity. I think that you'll find everything is pretty much on even keel. Just expect it to be Europe, cobblestones, stairs, perhaps no elevator in some buildings, but our hotels will actually all be modern facilities with elevators. And here's where I'll put in my little plug. I always recommend and suggest ladies try something new. Take themselves out of their comfort zone and try carry-on only. Ooh, everybody thinks I'm crazy, but sometimes that is the best way to travel. Just think of this, no matter how heavy your suitcase is while we're going away, you have to carry it and you have to lug it around those cobblestone streets. So you want to make sure it's not heavy. Our flights usually all international flights do accommodate a checked bag. So I will leave that up to you if you want to do it. The only other thing is I prep my ladies on possibly having a lost luggage and what to do in the event that happens. But so far, we have been very successful in not having to deal with that. So when you have the afternoon free, um, you can go and you can tour other places. Maybe you want to have a Vatican visit. Maybe you want to cross the river and have yourself a charming tour. Maybe you want to go have gelato or get into that Colosseum on a eyes wide open physical tour where you go inside and you actually go through all the areas you're allowed to be in. You can hang out in the Piazza Novana, Trastevere Forum, or you can cross over and swing by the Forum. There's so much to do there that this is the perfect place to go. I always put in the gelato for Italy because to me, no vacation is complete without ice cream or gelato. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, but that is true. So then we're going to roll on. We're already going to be leaving and heading outwards to travel to Montepulciano. I'm butchering that. Tuscany. We'll just use the actual English word here. This is one of the best places to visit. Tuscany is actually not a city. It's a very large area with cities in the city. And traveling there and getting into the heart of the countryside, you'll want to maybe have your camera ready. The vistas are gorgeous. There's just beautiful landscapes. Everybody enjoys this medieval area, a Renaissance feel a little hilly in the town. And the first day when we get in there, we're going to have ourselves an orientation walk so that you'll get the best of the best knowledge and know-how. I didn't mention it yet, but we have a private local guide who will be traveling with us. And all of our transportation is private with just our group. So picture this, a window with a view without another head possibly blocking you, being able to stop for a washroom when we feel like it, and lugging on all the water or whatever we need to accommodate us with a guide who is not in any hurry, who just needs to get us there in time before it's dark and we got to get to our hotel. This is the best of the best kind of tour where you're not getting on and off with another 100 people. This is just intimate. You might switch around. Maybe, just maybe, there'll be mixers where you sit with different people all the time because you're going to get to know them a little bit better, more intimately. That's how the group bonds and comes together. It's nothing scary. Don't worry about that. You won't have to, worry too hard about anything like that. We're pretty easy, and it's been proven. Everybody hates it, but then loves it. Okay, so day 4, you actually have pretty much a free day on day 4. We're going to be spending the whole day in the countryside. There's famous, like, what made Tuscany so famous, aside from being an Italian beauty center and all of that? So many of my clients say, I want to go to Tuscany. Where do you want to go in Tuscany? I don't know. I want to go to Tuscany. So then you have to giggle because Tuscany was made very famous in 2003 with the movie Under the Tuscan Sun. And I remember thinking, I want a house like hers. I want a villa just like that. I want to do a fixer upper. I want to meet people like her. And if you looked at the vistas that were shown in the movie, wineries were huge. And here's a little truth nugget for you. In 2020, we had actually booked the Tuscan villa home that was used in that video. And we were going to go there. We had beds for 18 ladies. I booked it the year before and we had to cancel it. So in the future, if someone wants to go to Tuscany and there's enough of us that want to go, guess where we'll go back to? So there's many, many optional wine tours. You can just go to small cafes, have wonderful cappuccinos. You can just sit and people watch, meet the people that surround you. They're fascinating. People have slowed down. They're not in a hurry. You can have an optional bike tour, which I thought was really neat because we did that in Greece and everybody really enjoyed it. It was back in the saddle. A lot of people hadn't done it for a lot of years and it was very successful. I think it was very successful. Okay, so day 5, we're going to continue on now and we're going to leave the beautiful valley and we're going to head over to Florence, which happens to be the capital city of all of Tuscany. And right away that evening, we're going to enjoy a beautiful walk through this Piazza Michelangelo for a fantastic Panama view of the city. Here it is by day, and here it is by evening. And if you look, it's quite clustered because this has all, like all European cities, this has an enormous amount of historical, cultural value. So many things and so many famous people came out of there. I'll just tell you a few, and I know you will know them no matter anybody's age. Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. He's so iconic. He did the statue of David, which is in one of the centers, and it's kind of funny because nobody blips at it, but everybody that goes over from the northern hemisphere always comments. But this is a Florence is known by many names. That is the English name. Its actual name is Firenze, and that is the Italian name. It has several names. It has a Latin name, but it's also known as the city of lilies because they have the lilies in their fleur-de-lis. So on that orientation walk, because it's in the evening, it's going to be slow, mesmerizing, and wonderful. This time of year that we're going is warm to hot. And so going through the city in the evening is probably going to make a memory like no other. Because do most people go out in the city and see the lights when they're tourists, or are they afraid to get out in the city unless they're in a group? Here we'll get this fantastic local guide who will walk us through streets we normally probably wouldn't walk through, all in the comfort and safety of our group. So just moving on here, day 6, there's another discover moment for us. And then we're off for free, basically afternoon. And what would you like to do? Again, there's so much to do. The choices are endless. You can opt to go to the Duomo, David, the Galleria, the Uffizi Gallery, the medieval Ponte Vecchio, um, or the Medici chapels. I mean, these are just a couple things. People pay a lot of money just to go here and tour. You can get a separate tour for these places. I recommend not to book too much ahead. What if we fall back a day because there's some complications or something like that? I would just prefer we wait a little bit closer to the time to get things. But take a look at the bridge. I don't know if you can notice, but it looks like there's all little houses along the bottom of this bridge. It's very, very cool. So, I mean, what would you do? And this is where, as we get to know the ladies more, one of the one of the highlights of our group is we like to try to meet up ahead of time, either locally or on Zoom for the ladies that live farther away. And sometimes we just have introductions and we go over Q&As, we go over the itinerary, we go over everything so that when you step on the plane, you are already familiar with each other. And it's such a great icebreaker that when we get there, you'll find already you'll resonate with other women or certain women that want to do the same things that you want to do. And therefore, there's always someone to do something with. You never have to be alone unless you want to be. And this is going to be the type of tour where maybe in the afternoon when it's free time, maybe you're done. And maybe you just want our guide to bring you back to the hotel so you can have your feet up and have a nap. And that's okay. And this is where the beauty of this is. We're going to be having a lot of go see do time, but we're also going to be having time where you can unwind and relax. So like the day before when you're in the wineries, what's the hurry? Have a flight of wine, enjoy yourself. Take that extra long bike ride where you stop and go, I can't believe I'm here. This is utterly fantastic. So that's the type of vacation this is, and that's the type of memories I would like you to bring home from here. So moving along to day 7, we're going to be spending a day trip traveling over to Siena. It's not that far. And we're going to begin with an orientation walk in this incredible city. And when you look at this picture here, it doesn't look too bad. And then you look at this same picture of the town, and there's these little windy roads everywhere. And it's almost like it's a maze. So, how do you not get lost? Well, you have a private guy like we have. So, he's going to walk us, or she's going to walk us, which I've already hoped for. We're going to have this great day trip. We're going to have the luxury of being shown things that most people wouldn't see because our guide has done this a whole bunch of time and knows all the secrets of the city. And it's so medieval, and there's so much that you can do that if you have some free time, there's other things because like any professional guide, they're going to show you everything. They're going to make sure you're orientated, and then they're going to give you some time to linger a little bit longer. So just some options here: Mangia, Bastastero, the Duomo, so much more. Just even this highlight here, the Duomo, just to climb up there and see the views from the city is absolutely incredible. And there's so much famous history in this town, like all the towns. There's actually something that's very cool with horse lovers. This is Palo de Siena. It's a famous horse racing tradition. And I have daughters that are horse riding, crazies, like some people are. And I want to tell you that this tradition goes back something like to the 17th century, where they actually dress up and the horses are drummed and piped in and sung into the area. This is the main center of town. They fence it off to create a horse track. And believe it or not, it's the craziest, nuttiest thing ever, but it's such a tradition that nobody likes to miss it. They have people who are in these stands and they bugle and wave people through, and the horses, they ride like woo, crazy. So there are, some odd accidents, but then Madrid has its bulls and they have their horses. So why not do that? And because it's such a deep tradition, I think that they want to continue this tradition for anybody that wants to see it. So historical figures all through Siena, artists, scholars, uh, you can't go wrong in this city. And I think because we have our guide and the orientation walk, it's going to make it even more memorable than ever. So moving along to day 8, Piazza for half a day while we're en route up to Cinque Terre, which is very charming and also very colorful when it comes to moving from one area to the other. The Piazza area is not that far from Florence. It is famous, obviously, for this structure. In fact, they have a specially made bell in the tower that leans at a certain degree where they have trouble ringing it because they have to go uphill and then down without crashing it into the other side. So just that alone, there's quite a history there. And we're going to be able to have some free time in there after a bit of an orientation. And then we'll carry on up to Cinque Terre, which is quite something as well. As we go through each area along our journey, it's going to start becoming wow, wow, look what we get to do. Look where we are. Look what's here. Cinque Terre is actually a formation of 5 villages. It seems like a lot of Italy is on cliffs. Now, it is a UNESCO heritage site. Therefore, like a lot of UNESCO sites, they have to maintain the colorful painting of the outdoor of the buildings. So it's always something people recognize in pictures immediately when they arrive in an area like this. So Cinque Terre, we have a choice. And here's where, like I said, it's not going to be terrible for those who have just a normal average fitness level. So you get a choice of walking the coastal path, which is right here, which is beautiful, or you can take the train. Now, you do get a train pass that you can have for the day. So you're going to walk between 2 cities, which in itself is pretty cool. Riaggio Maggiore, I can't say that. Monterosa. Okay, we're going to be Italian when we're finished this because we're going to speak the language. So these are just 2 of the villages within the Cinque Terre, and you can see one is coastal. So either route that people choose, and it's going to be depending again, like I'm telling ladies, it's going to be depending on what do you feel like that day? Are you tired? Or are you just wanting to walk very slowly and just take this in? Or are you going to go quicker, take the train, and it's over quicker than walking? That is totally your choice of what you'd like to do in this cool day of day 9. And remember that, Cinque Terre, you might not see all the villages. And remember, it's on this cliff, so there could be some vertical walking. And if you have Netflix, there is a really neat documentary called The Blue Zones. If anybody has checked that out, the blue zones are areas in our world that were discovered for having the most population over the age of 100 years old. And they went around to all these areas worldwide and they asked them what they did. And they were just trying to find connections. Was it diet? Was it the air? Was it the environment? Was it, what did they do exactly? And they found that the locals, no matter what, they did movement. It wasn't big movement. So it just resonates with me that when you see a town like this sitting in the middle of a cliff, they have to walk up and they have to walk down. And they're using muscles that most people don't use because we get too sedentary as we age. But think of all those 100-year-old people. They have shopping bags and they still go to the grocery store. They still do their things. And that's quite a documentary if you ever get the chance to go see it. So it's the shining coastal region with vibrant buildings. And the Cinque Terre, it translates into 5 lands. Cinque is 5, terra is lands. So that's pretty much what that, you know, translates to. So day 10, wow. So as if we haven't had enough cool stuff, we're going to start traveling up to Lake Como. And Lake Como is another picturesque, gorgeous area full of villas, lush gardens. We're going to arrive in the later afternoon and start right away exploring the town. So if you think of someone famous who has always been in the news lately, who lives here and owns his own villa, I'm wondering what you would say. His name is George Clooney. There are many, many famous people, movie stars, all sorts of people who live here. But the funnest thing is to do a little trivia and think about this. It is a favorite retreat, yes, for celebrities, but they also like to make movies here. The James Bond movie Casino Royale was filmed here, and the Star Wars episode 11 Attack on the Clones was filmed here. So it's charming, it's old world, it's Renaissance, medieval, it's just special, that where they don't have too many crowds, and so this is what they do. So, Lake Como, I mean, what will you do? You can visit multiple towns. And when I say you can visit multiple towns, there are other towns nearby. You can spend day 11, whoops, spend day 11 at Lake Como with the day pass for their boat. I just put this boat in here. There are a few kinds of boats, so you can go back and forth. You can visit areas. You can use the funicular, which probably isn't too bad of an idea. It goes up to the top of the hill, and you have a fantastic view with these charming towns down below. Um, I just have a typo there. Meaner. It's supposed to be meander, so it changed on me. Apologies for that. Oh boy, but you can take the funicular to Brunar, and Brunar is fantastic view over the area. And I suggest let's just take that boat, go all over the place, visit all these little charming areas. And then if we can do the funicular later, let's get that high viewpoint. I always say, give me an eagle point of view. Give me a map where I look down. I can kind of get the city like Siena having that maze. If you look from up to down and you can see that from above, you always know where you are. It's kind of like a point of GPS, if you will. So where you're going and what you're doing and where you've been and all of the rest, the funicular view at the top would be wonderful. Day 12, we are heading over to Venice, the absolute beautiful romantic city of canals. We are going to enjoy a really nice orientation walk over lots of bridges and canals with the view of Piazza San Marco. And when I think of Venice, there's so many things that come to mind. Obviously, we think of gondola boats. Yes. I think of that movie, The Pearl, and it was made after the artwork of the pearl with the women, looking down, doing her bread with the little headband. But that movie with Colin Firth is filmed out here. Obviously, many, many others are, but people don't realize some of these areas, they just have no vehicle ability. So there they are having to have boats and taking water taxis and gondolas. So although we think of the gondola, many, many people have every other boat you can think of as well. So our orientation walk will take us through these canals, over bridges, and again, a maze of everything. We're going to get that nice orientation because the next day we have the whole day to hang out in Venice and have our discover moment, spending the day actually getting lost in Venice. Like we're going to get lost. We're going to follow the water and go all over and cross this bridge and go down and cross back on the other bridge. And we're just going to do all that fun stuff. We can use the water taxis and get over to the islands of Murano and Burano. And if you've never heard of those, well, there's a lot of little islands around Venice, and they're really fun and easy to get to and so charming. I mean, take a look at these. I mean, Amsterdam is a city where everybody thinks of canals. Well, Venice, they have canals everywhere, and people just think, oh, okay. But if you take that bird's eye view, these two little islands, oh, how fun to go there, Burano and Murano. Look at how quaint that is. Everybody should go see those. And, again, you can have a cappuccino and sit down and people watch. And you can have gelato for the 14th time. And you can have a glass of wine if you want to linger longer and just stroll. And hey, let's catch this next taxi ride. And let's just do this. And you know what? It's yours for the making. Our guide will be with us or will stay behind. He likes or she likes to make sure everybody gets to the hotel back and forth if they need a rest. And so they, really the job of our guide is to make sure we are successful with this trip. We are successful in everything that we do. We don't get lost. And this is going to be the epitome of living like a local for all of these cities because we essentially are going to be doing that. A lot of tours that I've been on and trips I've been on are planned to the minuscule moment where you really don't have time to shop. You don't have time to linger. You don't have time to go see something you've read about that you've always wanted to see your whole life because it's out of the way and it's deviating from the actual, tour itself. So I love this tour because it is going to create some enormous I can do this and look what we've done moments. And I think of other things in this area. The Italian Job was a movie with Charlize Theron that was filmed here, and The Tourist was done here as well with Angela Jolie. And so there's very good possibilities that you'll be able to find out other things cinematography wise, scholarly wise. Maybe you've read books that are set here. Um, you know, this is going to be something where if you want to do a little research in advance as well, then you can learn a little bit more and you'll get the feel of it. But we always provide a private Facebook group for our groups as well. And I really try to populate it well so that as well, there's things that I can put in there that the ladies learn about or never thought about, or we just really set ourselves up for success that we can get wherever we need to go. And while we're there and not leave and say, oh, we should have done this or we should have done that. And by day 14 already, we're going to wake up, we're going to have our breakfast. And incidentally, all of our breakfasts are included. We have great hotels for all of this. So it's going to be comfortable for everybody. And flights will depart later. And I don't know if you know about the Marco Polo Airport. And by the way, is that a fitting name for an airport? You're in Venice where there's water everywhere. Marco Polo. I was saying that all afternoon to myself. Marco Polo. Anyway, so look where the airport is. You have the actual, San Marcos Square. You have everything around, and everything is by water. People take their luggage and go by water taxi and get over there. We're going to be staying on on the mainland there, so it won't be a problem to transfer there. And I like our transfers to be that I try to get them so that everybody goes at the same time and it's all tended to, and nobody has to think about anything except packing their bag and making sure it's ready and out when it needs to be. So, what's included in this trip? Well, all of our transportation, and it's all private transportation with our local guide. We have small group, so it's perfect for camaraderie, safety in numbers, and touring together. Everybody can partner up and everybody is looking out for each other and counting heads, making sure everybody's safe. We have our welcome moment right in Rome in our migrant tour. We have our orientation walk in Montepulciano. We have our day trip to Siena. We have our evening walk in Florence, our Pisa half-day visit. We have Cinque Terre, where there's actually a park fee there, believe it or not. And so we have an unlimited train ticket and the guide. So, you could possibly walk along the coastal path and then take the train back. That's another option. We have the Lake Como boat day pass. We have Venice orientation walk. We have 3 discover moments in Rome, Florence, and Venice. We have our tourist first class accommodations. Well, I'm going to say, I don't know if it's first class, but to me, Marriott's are pretty good and all the other ones, but they're going to be unique and cultural and quaint and lovely. And they all include our breakfast. So 13 nights of our accommodations are also in the pricing. So there is great value in this just simply because when I send people to Italy, their accommodations are starting to add up. Last year, because most people started to tippy toe out and wanted to go to Italy, it was well known in the travel advisor world that you needed to quote $6,000 to $10,000 a week for people to go to Italy to tour. It was so pricey. Static pricing in hotels are such where as the hotel fills up, the price goes up. And so the prices were like $1,200 a night. It was crazy. It was getting more and more pricey as, I was trying to get trips in for everybody to go there. So, what's not included? Okay, let's just go over what's not included. The flights are not included because not everybody goes from the same airport. Right now, flights are roughly around 1500, 1550. That's a really good deal because last year we went to Greece, and with the Greece tours, we spent about the same, but some came on Air Canada, and theirs were $2,400. The rest of us were with Transat. But I just quoted somebody 1,500 for Air Canada, which is great. So it's a major carrier. The transfers to and from the hotels are not included. However, I like to get group transfers and divvy up the price between us, so it's not too bad. The meals, I put down meals not included, but it's the meals aren't included that are not mentioned for the tour. All your breakfasts are first class hot buffets. We always tell our ladies to bring Ziploc baggies because when you're on a tour, you don't always stop to eat when you're accustomed to eating. And we don't want anybody getting sugar lows or start to get really hungry. We will be eating in location. So think of those little Italian cafes for a nice little bite. Think of dinners, nice little bites, real Italian food. You got to have pizza while you're there and pasta and all the bad stuff that we think is bad in North America. So your travel insurance. I always recommend to people if you're going away more than 2 times in a year, try to get yourself some multi-trip travel insurance because then you can go away as often as you want and it pays for itself after 2 times. We do ask for tips for our guide and driver, and that will be up to your discretion. They give an approximate amount, so we'll discuss that more on the Facebook page. And of course, your personal spending money. Some people love to shop. Our ladies love to shop. And it might not be that they buy a lot, but there's always that possibility because of the type of tour we have. And I'm just going to give a little wink here. There are post office along the way. You can send things home instead of packing your suitcase if you have carry-on. And that's one of the things that I've done when I'm away. Okay, where to find us and how to contact us. We are at redorchidtravel.com. We are on Instagram, Red Orchid Travel. I didn't put down there, I forgot, Facebook page, Red Orchid Women's Travel Tours. And on our website, we do have a tab that says Escorted Tours, and we have another tab that says Women's Tours. So on either one, you can just cursor down. You can find the brochure for this specific tour, and you can look up other trips that we have. And maybe this timeline for June to July the 7th, June 23rd to July the 7th isn't your timeline, but maybe you're super interested in this tour. Contact me and we can try to arrange something for you. Now, I didn't mention yet, this tour is in partnership with G Adventures. And G Adventures, if you don't know them, they are a Canadian company. They're not a full branch, but they're associated with National Geographic. Bruce Poontip is the CEO and founder of G Adventures. He came to Canada with $7 in his pocket, and he believes, and he still believes, and has won the Order of Canada award. When we travel, he said, we do something about making sure we always support only local, and so that the money from the tourism doesn't just go in the coffers of the government or in some of these third world countries. It goes directly to the people. So he also believes in supporting women in countries because women don't always have the employment. For instance, in India, they only employ and they have actually trained women to be taxi drivers. It got them off the street, gives them a second chance at life, all sorts of wonderful things with advocating for women. Last thing I'll say about G Adventures is I had the opportunity in the fall. I was invited to a G Adventure sponsored evening. It was an evening with Jane Goodall in Toronto. One of the most fascinating things was her speaking also about making sure you support local. And on this Italy tour, I have checked. Everything will be supporting local and being like a local and learning like a local. And I got the opportunity to meet Jane Goodall. It was literally a pull of the straws. And out of 10 people that were in this invitation only evening, amongst the masses that were also in the auditorium, I got to meet her face to face and speak with her and tell her how much I admired her because I grew up with her on TV as after Tarzan. And she started the evening off by saying, me, Jane. And it almost had me giggling like crazy. Anyways, so G Adventures has 20 Jane Goodall approved tours. And so you can be trusting that we have this ideal tour that is set just for our Red Orchid ladies, and that will always put us top of the line with everywhere that we go. And with that, I'm going to thank you for joining us and giving us the time tonight to watch this. And I'm going to just ask if anybody has any questions. And if you do, how this works is you can pop on and turn on your mic and just ask a question. If you don't have any questions, then I will just hopefully see you all soon or hear from you. Nancy, did you have a question?
I did. Oh my goodness, I barely got mute off.
Okay, okay. That's
um,
my hand.
yes, it probably went across anyway. Yeah, it was just, and I think I know the answer, but I'm just curious because this is right out of my comfort zone, right? Like I usually stick more closer to home. So I'm just curious with your cell phone. I've heard like buy a cheap, pay as you go when you get there, throw it in. Otherwise, you're paying like an exorbitant amount of money with your own plan. So I'm just wondering if anyone has any thoughts or suggestions on that.
Absolutely, because we did that in Greece and I do it every time I go away. So you can pay your per day DM that you have
Yeah,
with your cell phone provider, or there's two other things you can do. When you get to Italy, to Rome, you can purchase a new SIM card and it will let
right.
you call and be like a local. The other thing you can do is we go on airola.com, AIROLO, and you can purchase yourself a digital eSIM. And that will allow you to use up all your data as normal and give you a local phone number for and gigabytes and all sorts of things in your local area. What most of us usually do, though, is we get into an area and get into Wi-Fi or have data on through Arola or another provider, and we use FaceTime to call, WhatsApp, any of these other alternatives, and then you avoid the per minute charge if you're not covered for actually audio calling. So that's something I go through with everybody as well on the private Facebook pages. We don't take
Perfect.
anybody anywhere without setting them up very, very well.
Perfect. I was just going to ask you if you could put that on the Facebook page. So see, great
Yes.
minds think alike.
Yes, you can also buy eSIMs at the airport. Usually there's machines vending machines, you can buy them. And you just take out your current eSIM that's in Canada and you put the
Yeah.
eSIM in from the other country. So it's very convenient.
I
Yeah.
have a suggestion too. If you're with Bell, then if you don't need the phone all the time, if you're going to be in the hotel for Wi-Fi, then you use WhatsApp then. But if you're scared of getting lost or something, then you just load the Google Maps onto your phone. Then you're not using up data, and it tells you, you could just plug in like you usually do in Canada, and it'll show you exactly directions how to get from one spot to the other. If you're lost, get back to your hotel. And secondly, what Bell has, I don't know what the price is now, but if you open your phone for one day, you can shut off your data, but you can phone home if you're an emergency, phone Renee, you're lost and you got a blah, blah, blah. And it only costs you $12 or $15 for that day. And you can make as many phone calls as you want for that day. And then you shut it off. So Bell has that terrific. And that's what I always use when I travel to Cuba, whatever.
Yeah, all of the telephone providers in Canada have a per day DM.
Yes, they do.
Usually with taxes, it's under $20. It used to be a lot less. But I was going to say, I will show everybody on the private Facebook group and the group. There is actually a way to download Google directions without using data now. It's actually
Oh,
pretty cool. And the other thing I was going to suggest is for those who don't want to use any data or aren't technically minded, I actually had the thought that we should bring some walkie-talkies. And if we divide up into a few groups, we're just going to be like, Roger out.
That sounds very fun.
Will not be allowed to say
It
those
works.
certain countries like Cuba won't allow walkie-talkies. I
Yeah.
know it's on there.
Italy's good.
Uh,
Are you who? Where are you down there in Cinque Terre?
yeah, exactly.
And I also had one more question, sorry.
No, that's good.
So because I booked my flight, right? And so we're flying down a couple days before. Well, whatever. Are you then going to help get a hotel for that extra night?
Yes. So
Okay.
that's actually one of the things that I was going to talk to everybody about.
Okay.
The hotel the night before is all we need. So I actually got hold of G Adventures, and they were going to get us pre-night hotels. And
Okay.
they actually thought to do that for us. And this week we found out that the actual hotel we'll be staying in is sold out that week. So I'm actually got a whole group of rooms at another place, and I'll be contacting everybody that's on the tour if they want to prepay ahead of time in Canadian dollars or pay at the hotel in euros. So that'll be everybody's choice that's participating for that one night, because obviously we're in before the tour and that
Right.
doesn't count. Now, those I was going to say, those that are on a solo pricing, you have to decide if you want the room by yourself pre as well, or if you want to share by yourself. So I'll be in contact with everybody about that. And other than that, I want it to be that you pack your suitcase and you're going to learn some Italian lingo. We're going to do that. I'm actually going to have a lady come on a private night with all of my participants, and we're going to get a little Italian lesson, because I can say Ciao Bella, but what about like où est la chambre de bain? Where is the bathroom? We need some sayings, but there's a cheat way. We can also learn about downloading an app. We just have to use it only in Wi-Fi, and it'll be about translating languages. But you have to have it in data to be able to use that when you're out and about. So it's
Right.
good to have a couple of lines, uh, you know, just to learn things. I think it'll be kind of fun, get ourselves into the area.
And how big is our group?
Our group is going to be, well, we can have up to 16, but
Okay.
right now, yeah, I'm not there yet. I thought, gee, it's kind of comfortable at around 12. So I'm just thinking, whatever it ends up being, we're going, it's good, because we did have a minimum of 8 and we surpassed that a while ago.
Okay.
So it's very exciting. Yay.
Perfect. And there are, like, I'm flying out of Pearson, right?
Yes.
Do you know how many people so far have signed up or on that flight?
There's 5 on that exact flight right now, but there's more coming home with you because
Okay.
they're on the cruise in advance of you.
Right.
And so they got to come home. So I'm trying to put everybody on that same flight coming back.
Perfect.
And
If
that'll be a
only
great flight.
Yeah, if only I wasn't working still.
Well, that flight is going to be great. I'll tell you why. Because when you come back from Europe, you're coming back in time. So you actually leave in the afternoon and you arrive on the same day back in Canada. And you don't feel jet lagged like you think you will, but you will get up really early in the morning for a few days, up to a week. You may get up at 4 in the morning and you may have to go to bed at 8 at night, but that's how it works.
Right.
So, question, with the
Yes.
flights, once we get to Italy, do you make the arrangements? Do we just take a cab and get it to the hotel?
No, I'll do the transfers like I did in Greece. I'll make
Yeah,
sure that
because you won't
everybody's
be there.
transferred.
You'll already be there
Yeah, but I may
because
be
you're on
there.
the.
I may be there because I have to send Eric home that day. So I might meet
Oh,
you
because
there.
Eric's going on the cruise. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. No, you know what? I will never leave anybody anywhere around the world. I call it the mother hen in me. I'm very protective. And some of you can attest to this. I've gone away and it's like, oh, let's all have dinner here. But some people aren't coming. And it's like, oh, I don't care what if you want to do something different and deviate on your own time. But if you just let me know, it's kind of like
Yeah.
I'm counting the hit. I need just to know where my chicks are, right? And it's just part of that safety, the safety covering, just to make sure no one's going to get lost. We're not waiting on someone because they're lost. It's hard to know if there might be a situation, but at least if people go out and they're going with someone else instead of alone, I just prefer to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. No. Nobody is left alone unless you want to be. And there will be times, okay, I'm not gonna lie. Sometime you're just tired. Like you'll feel just tired. The heat is a big factor. The amount of time we're out and about could be another. Maybe the driving. Maybe you're tired because there's been some movement in the day. And there's no shame in putting up your hand and saying, hey, I'm just really tired. I need a moment. And I will encourage that for everybody. All righty. Anybody else? Are we good? I'm just gonna stop the record, and we can still talk if you want to.
Me, I just want to know,